First, we are following several breaking news stories. We begin with that breaking news. 10 correctional officers have been indicted in connection with the beating death of Robert Brooks.
Yeah, that beating happening last December at the Mohawk Correctional Facility in Marcy. The indictment handed up in Oneida County Court a short time ago. 6 of the officers were charged with murder and manslaughter. 4 others, including Michael Mashaw, who you see here, was charged with second-degree manslaughter. According to the indictment, Mashaw was one of the officers carrying Brooks into that examining room. The indictment says that he did not stop the attack and did not call for help until it was too late. Others were charged because they watched the beating and did nothing. All pleaded not guilty. Outside of the courtroom, there were dozens of people chanting justice for Brooks. Now, another top story we're following. The National Guard deployed to the correctional facilities around the state today amid the ongoing demonstrations. This is video taken from Albany International Airport this morning. That shows those military helicopters taking off. We've got team coverage on this story tonight. News 10 ABC's Karina Dominguez is hearing from families of incarcerated individuals. We will check in with her in just a moment. First, though, News 10 ABC's Zion Dakota outside the Coxsackie Correctional Facility in Greene County all day long, tracking the very latest updates from that demonstration. He joins us now live outside there. Zion, what are you seeing today?
John and Trishna, good afternoon to you. All day long, demonstrators were out here outside of the Coxsackie Correctional Facility, braving the bitter weather, whether retired or active duty. Let me step aside and give you a live look. The strong scent of propane continues to permeate the atmosphere. We had music playing earlier. We've got fires burning. We've got snacks laid out from popcorn to donuts to pizza. We've even got a porta potty outside, and it's because demonstrators intend to be here as long as they have to, round the clock, until their demands are met. From 24-hour shifts due to short staffing.
So now you work in the 16, then all of a sudden they're so short, they're mandating you to stay in another 8.
To attacks by inmates.
Throwings on officers, feces, urine.
Protesters spoke of those alleged poor conditions inside state prisons. The ones who spoke were retired COs. Active duty officers wouldn't speak, fearing state retaliation.
Conditions have deteriorated to a point that none of this would have been imaginable 10 years ago. Men standing out here, women in the freezing cold because of what's going on inside those facilities.
Demonstrators also demanded a repeal of the HALT Act, which limits the use of solitary confinement. They say it gives prisoners the incentive to be insubordinate.
They have taken away all penalties, and it's a free-fall on there. There has to be discipline in the facility so things run smoothly for our safety and for the inmates' safety.
But some are calling the strikes a diversion.
The strike started the same week that corrections officers were indicted for the torturing and murder of Robert Brooks. So it's no coincidence.
In December, Robert Brooks died after a beating by Marcy correction officers. One protester denies this is a distraction from that situation.
That's not why we're out here. I understand sometimes we do buck change, and sometimes change is good. Like I said, I've been inside for 35 years, and I've seen a lot of good changes. But the direction this department is going now, it's not safe.
As for why the short staffing problems persist in state prisons?
No one wants this job anymore. I would never recommend this job to anyone.
And just to give you perspective, this is the Coxsackie Correctional Facility behind me. I did share with some of the protesters the news that the governor is suspending the elements of the HALT Act until prisons can once again be operated safely. That's some elements of the HALT Act. One protester was pleased and told me, quote, that Hochul had no choice if she wanted COs to show up to work here at Greene for another day. Reporting live in Coxsackie, Zion Dakota, News 10 ABC.
All right, thank you very much, Zion. We'll stay with you there.
We want to take you now live to a news conference that is happening in Oneida County on the Robert Brooks indictment. His family there just finished up speaking. Let's listen in to see what they're saying now.
Everything I've heard from the governor is that she's very acutely aware that there's a systemic problem that needs to be addressed. And it's not just Marcy. You see what's going on around the state. And the Inspector General, by the way, is also in the process of conducting an investigation. So,
can I ask one more thing?
Sure.
there was a lot of noise inside both of the courtrooms and outside the courtroom from
Right.
supporters of Robert Brooks saying that they were very concerned that bail was set too low.
This is New York. If you get bail in a case, you should, after you do a novena, just say thank you, Your Honor, for setting bail. The bail is not an issue in this case. Case is not going to be decided because someone's locked up for 8 months or 9 months until the case comes to trial. These guys aren't going anywhere. So, Andrew?
I imagine the videotape is very valuable evidence to the case, but to think that it may not have existed because those officers didn't intentionally record their devices, it was by happenstance. Okay. Wondering the value of the tape, but also the fact that they might have not been seen doing it if it didn't record.
There's no question that one of the ironic features of this case, and as the grand jury found, the officers were not aware that they were being taped. That's going to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. So it begs the question, if the Axon didn't have that feature of recording the previous 30 minutes and saving that into the cloud or whatever they call it, would we be here today? Robert, in my judgment, would have gone to see Attorney Schwartz, and Attorney Schwartz would have said, well, I don't know what happened. They say that he fell outside and hit his head and was under the influence of some kind of narcotic, and he must have caused these injuries to himself. And, God only knows if we would have been able to, proceed with where we are today.
Can you speak to the logistics of getting the 10 people, or what is it, ever 9 it is today, in custody? Well,
that was done masterfully by the state police with the assistance of the Oneida County Sheriff's Office. Once the indictment was unsealed, the defendants prearranged locations with their attorneys, surrendered. Those without attorneys surrendered anyway. And the state police at, I think, 4 or 5 various locations throughout upstate New York managed to get them here for court. Yes, in the back.
Hi, I'm with WPTV, the NBC affiliate interviewed Don. Just wondering if plea negotiations would be entered into at any point?
A prosecutor has an ethical obligation to attempt to resolve a case before trial, and I'll certainly do that. But I'm not going to do that until I speak with Robert Brooks Jr. and the rest of his family. And if I do that, I certainly am not going to tell you, with all due respect, I don't discuss plea negotiations. It's not ethical to do that. Yes, straight ahead.
I'm with CMI Central, Channel 3 in Syracuse. Just wondering, when this was presented to members of the grand jury, what was their reaction as they sat and listened to the presentation watched?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to discuss what happened in the grand jury. I can tell you without any revealing of confidential material, they were human beings. Their reaction, I suspect, was very similar to any person looking at that tape. It's difficult to watch. At the table here, sir. Yes.
Me?
Yep.
Hi, John Moss here from the Post-News.
Just listening in live there to officials in Oneida County on the indictment of those 10 correctional officers in connection to Robert Brooks's death. We will keep you updated as we continue to monitor that.
Yeah, family members of the incarcerated individuals also were gathering at the Capitol today. They're calling for justice for their loved ones who are still behind bars.
And that's where we find NEWS10 ABC's Karina Dominguez tonight, who is speaking with families of incarcerated individuals.
Dozens of people gathered in the concourse for their incarcerated loved ones. Many missing a father, a husband, a fiance, a niece, just to name a few. Sean Young spent 8 years at the Eastern Correctional Facility before his conviction was overturned.
The messaging is always very clear about who a person is as a prisoner inside. You do not matter here. You're not as valuable here. And what we say goes here. It is extreme power and control at every aspect and walk of life when you're incarcerated.
Their lives are devalued behind bars, he says, and it's hard to rehabilitate under those conditions.
And that messaging has deteriorating effect not on just the person that's the subject of it, but on the entire culture of the prison itself.
He hopes the Brooks indictment and statewide strikes can be used to change that culture. He co-founded a grassroots organization that fights for Black liberation, working to get incarcerated individuals basic human rights. It's something Tiana Taylor has been working for. Her dad has been in prison for the last 20 years, since she was just 10 years old. Right now, she says,
people need access to their families and connection with the outside world. And people need an end to brutality. At some of these facilities, including my dad's at Eastern, we're unsure if they're going to continue to have access to the outside community. And we have no idea if that's going to cause more brutality.
Young and others at Thursday's rally say bringing in the National Guard may make a volatile situation even worse. Visitation at all state prisons has been temporarily halted. Legacy Wright and Selena Bronson say they don't know when they'll get to see their loved ones again.
Right now it's up in the wind. Like, I should be going this Saturday, but we don't know because of the strike.
We need our visits back. I need to be able to go see my husband and hug him and everything.
Reporting in Albany, Karina Dominguez, News 10 ABC.
Thank you, Karina. Much more on the story coming up on our next half hour. You can also stay up to date by checking our website. That's open 24/7 and free, news10.com.